The man wants to confess to his girlfriend. But suddenly, they were an innocent couple. But now they are not enough to be bodyguards. 2 years ago, Mike was a third-class bodyguard, and the man next to him was his client. On this day, he successfully completed a deal, and his thanked him for the service. Mike smiled and said goodbye to the client, but at that moment, since then, Mike has lost the title of third-class bodyguard. 2 years later, Mike's life is in a mess. His girlfriend left him and began to urinate in the car. The luxury car has been replaced with a manual one, and the license plate has been changed to water. The client's level has also changed, and he quarreled with him just because he came a few minutes late. But the client didn't know that Mike came late just because he had solved a few problems in advance. He knocked down all the killers ambushed in the stairs and the snipers on the roof, and the 2 gentlemen in the alley. So that's why Mike came late. The client was able to walk out of the building in a big swing. The loud explosion was the client's screw. Mike opened the car door for the client in person. Although he is no longer a third-class bodyguard, the service of a third-class bodyguard is still there. Let go of Mike's business first. 3 years ago, a brutal president of a country, Old Do, came to a professor's house to look for something. He killed Professor Lucia in front of the professor. 3 years later, in the international court, Old Do was accused of brutal dictatorship. The professor became the witness to testify against Old Do. But because of the lack of evidence to accuse Old Do, there was no way to sanction Old Do. What's more terrible is that the witnesses who wanted to continue to testify disappeared. Now, there is only one person left who can accuse him of a crime. That's Jean Kai, who served in Manchester. The international police asked him to appear in court. To accuse Old Do as a return, his wife will be pardoned. You're going to pardon an innocent woman. Jean Kai is a hired killer who has committed more than 20 murders in more than 10 countries. But pardoning his wife is his weakness. He signed immediately and decided to take the risk to testify against Old Do next. He will be escorted from Manchester to the Netherlands. But he was very worried about the police officers escorting him. Because many witnesses have disappeared, he was the last one. This police officer assured him that he would be escorted by them to put 100 stars. Then, such attacks will be hit. Jean Kai said, "Give me the gun and a car. We'll meet in court directly tomorrow afternoon." But how? Is this possible? That's it. The detectives escorted Jean Kai on the road. On the road, he still kept joking with the detectives. He thought he could send a message to his family as soon as possible, because the danger must come soon. It's not that the dog can't spit out the ivory, because the people who were going to testify disappeared. There must be someone on the road. Killed Jean Kai. Old Do got off the car. The luxury car was hit into a sieve. The detectives stopped the car and began to fight back. But the enemy is too many people. It's not the opponent at all. The female detective and Jean Kai are still in the car. He picked up the key thrown on the ground, ready to escape the cage. Everyone got off the car to fight. This police officer was really fierce. He killed multiple bandits alone. He also put a gun on the throttle, let the car drive a dozen meters. Then he blew up the car. But when he turned around to save them, he still couldn't escape. Now there are only female detectives and Jean Kai in the car. The enemy doesn't know what to do, ready to pull down the roof of the car. Just at this time, Jean Kai convinced the female detective. The roof of the car was pulled down and there was a big smoke. Then, Jean Kai is a mercenary who has been to more than 10 countries, participated in more than 20 cases. He can shoot 10 at a time. The gunplay is also very beautiful. About 10 shots. He was shot to the ground. He picked up 2 guns and walked into the nearby alley. Then the female detective followed and threw out a glove. Jean Kai said, "Interpol has a mole. You either shoot or watch me bleed to death." They came to the nearby safe house together. Jean Kai didn't let the female detective pick up the phone because it would expose the location to the Interpol mole. At this time, the former ace bodyguard was washing the car in the car wash. He thought he was enjoying the black member's uniform. It shouldn't smell like a public road in the car. He wants a reasonable explanation. Just at this time, his ex-girlfriend, who hasn't been in touch for 2 years, called him. Amelia directly entered the topic. Let Mike bring 2 O-shaped blood to help. Although there was a quarrel on the phone again, but his ex-girlfriend said she could help him. Restore level 3 authorization. This temptation is still very big. Mike cares a lot about the level of the bodyguard. Jin Kai was ready to take out the bullet for himself, but he didn't have a painkiller. So he called his wife in prison as a lawyer. He loves his wife. Just listening to his wife scolding him on the phone, he has lost a lot of pain. Take out the bullet in the calf. He promised his wife he will definitely have a wedding anniversary with her. Just like when Jin Kai sang for his wife. The phone suddenly lost signal. Sonia was angry in the cell of the 2. Prison phone. There was still a female prisoner in the corner. The ace bodyguard began to act. Handcuffs and passports, carrying the package to the safe house. After seeing his ex-girlfriend, he knew it was a senior escort mission. He has been complaining about his ex-girlfriend because of Hei's death before that mission. He revealed the client's Hei's for the first time in his career. Reveal to his beloved girlfriend. Mike has always thought the mission was that his ex-girlfriend exposed Hei's. He became like this from a level 3 bodyguard. Amelia was so angry that she couldn't speak. Can only shift the topic. Mike was even angrier when he met the target. Jin Kai is the same. One is the killer of Wenfeng. One is the ace bodyguard. They have fought many times over the years. They have been looking forward to meeting this matter for a long time. Finally, Jin Kai took the bullet from Mike. Because of too much blood loss, Hei still fainted. He was the traitor of the international police. He came to find the president Lao Du to complain, because he had almost killed Jin Kai. But Lao Du's people didn't succeed. He came to find Lao Du for money. But Lao Du is not an ordinary person. He told him with the pen of the deputy police chief of Sichuan. Mike said that Jin Kai had assassinated him 27 times. Amelia also said that Jin Kai was going to be a witness. There are also spies in the international police for justice and to restore the original life. In the end, Mike was persuaded by Amelia. After taking this escort, the police chief's group probably guessed that they would be in the safe house. Call the deputy police chief to send someone to take action. Then the deputy police chief turned around and
notified Lao Du's people.
In addition to the police, there are also a car of rioters heading to the safe house. Mike can go and go. After Jin Kai woke up, the fight became a joke. Suddenly, the seat of the safe house rang. Mike knows the style of the international police. The phone of the safe house has not been picked up. They will send someone to come. As expected, they are coming. Mike and Kaid also started to act. He saw 2 enemies behind the door. Mike is ready to leave the north staircase. But Kaid doesn't want to do that. He wants a gun. That's safer. 3 or 5 shots. He killed the enemies that appeared between the stairs. The gunshot was fatal, but there was no need to shoot. The police downstairs heard the gunshot and acted immediately. Mike likes to be low-key. He quickly killed 2 enemies. Kaid fired again. The 2 people cooperated very well. They came to the roof. Mike is considering a more ingenious way to go down. Kaid has already fallen, crumpled, then fell into the trash can. Mike doesn't understand. He has found a safer way to go down. They got into Mike's car. Kaid laughed, because when Kaid shot him last time, Mike was still driving a good car. He even smelled the odor in the car. He found Mike's gas bottle. As 2 old hands, they need to change a car. Mike took out a small bag and was ready to unlock it. But simple and fast. The purpose is the same, but the style of the 2 people is different. Mike wants to know how a so-called professional assassin was caught by the international police. Of course, it's because of love. The man is on a mission to assassinate. Suddenly received a phone call. His wife had a serious car accident. Then he gave up that guy. He hurried back to Mexico. He came to the hospital quickly and came to his wife's room. More than 20 detectives had been waiting there for a long time. This is the reason why a professional assassin was caught. It's because of love. The two of them chatted all the way. The former enemy actually had endless topics to say. Once, Kaid had aimed at Mike, but the TV moved when he shot. And now Jean Kaid has become the master, enjoying Mike's level 30 bodyguard uniform, because Sonia got a call. The police came to her to find out about Jean Kaid, but Sonia beat them up, because the police lost her husband. I actually asked her for help. I don't know what to think. The police couldn't get a clue from her, so she was scolded and left. Sonia thought of her husband and started to be naughty again. She was in a better mood. Okay, you can take a 5-minute break. A small whip on the road. Jean Kaid wanted to drive first. It seems that he underestimated the ace bodyguard. Suddenly a few machine guns kept shooting at them. He didn't want to leave a fire. There are 3 people guarding the machine gun. Kaid said. They each killed the enemy on the side. Then see who can kill the middle one. He was about to count down to 3. 1. Jean Kaid killed 3 enemies first. 1 obeyed the principle. 1 didn't follow the rules. Suddenly, the car was hit by a gun. But it's not over yet. Just when Mike and Kaid were talking, the gun in the trunk of the car started to fire automatically. The last bullet hit the enemy's car. They wanted to leave with the enemy's car. In the wilderness, the car became a problem. Jean Kaid ridiculed Mike's love story. Then he told his romantic love story. In a bar full of war, Kaid saw his wife for the first time. He was harassed by a group of people. Kaid was going to help, but he found that he didn't need it. Sonia showed her never seen violence. That day, Kaid felt like he met his destiny. The weather was getting cold. Finally, he saw a bus passing by. They wanted to take a bus to Amsterdam. Kaid's wife was being held in the prison in Amsterdam. She traveled with some nuns. Jean Kaid was very happy. They sang all the way to the destination. Mike thought of a killer who killed many people. The nuns liked him. Finally, they arrived at the waterway. Jean Kaid told Mike about the first person he killed. When he was 16 years old, a man broke into the church and killed a priest. At this time, Kaid saw the murderer. The next day, the murderer got in his car. Then Jean Kaid appeared behind the murderer. With a gunshot, the crow flew in the sky. This is Kaid's tattoo. They arrived in a beautiful city. This is Mike's safe house. He began to take out his tool bag. He kept talking to Kaid. At this time, Kaid opened the door with a beer can. At this time, the trial of President Ladu has begun. As a witness, only 4 hours left. Amelia is very anxious as an international police officer. But Mike called him at this time. He told his ex-girlfriend, I forgive you, Amelia. Of course, he said this at this time. And Amelia didn't need him to apologize. He picked up the phone and wanted to bring Jean Kaid here as soon as possible. Mike, who was scolded by his ex-girlfriend, suddenly found out. Jean Kaid ran away. Kaid bought a hat. Then he bought another box of toothpaste. Mike also guessed the current idea of Amelia. He took the flower and ran straight to the opposite prison where his wife was locked up. Of course, there were a lot of people watching Jean Kaid on this road. As a partner along the way, Mike solved one by one for Jean Kaid. For example, this man just wanted to do it. The ace bodyguard only needed one move. After subduing the man, he threw the gun into the flower bed. And Jean Kaid came to the church opposite the prison. He put his wife's favorite toothpaste there. Of course, Sonia was very touched. She also knew that Jean Kaid was safe and sound. After meeting, Mike said how dangerous it was just now. She also knew how crazy this man was for love. Mike and Kaid said that they had just called Amelia. When he said he forgave her, he felt a lot easier. As for why he forgave his ex-girlfriend, it was because he thought Amelia exposed the mole. It was the client from 2 years ago. Then he was killed. Jean Kaid laughed. Because it wasn't Amelia who exposed the mole. It was Jean Kaid who killed the mole. 2 years ago he was watching another target at the airport, but he saw the mole on the plane. It just so happens that this mole is a corrupt arms dealer. That was the most perfect shot in Kai's career as a professional killer. A shot within 300 meters moved the mole. Mike finally understood that he had misunderstood his ex-girlfriend for 2 years. Mike's mind was in a mess. He was in his hometown. He could only tell all his anger from a civilized perspective. He told a boss who sold drinks on the street. It was at this time that Kai was discovered by the enemy. The gunfight began. It was a mess. On the street, only Mike was still talking to the boss. Kai hung on a light railing to avoid the enemy's sight. Next was the enemy's pursuit. Mike started to move after shouting. No matter how much he complained, he had to finish the escort. Kai grabbed a yacht. The enemy was in a crowd. They kept shooting guns. Mike killed the gunman in the car behind the enemy. He helped the police catch the old man. The driver stared at Mike. Mike hurried to the side of the road. He jumped up and slowed down the rear wheel. The enemy aimed at him and turned around. Immediately, a truck of Chinese bandits stared at Mike. Mike hurried to the side of the road. He jumped up and slowed down the rear wheel. The enemy aimed at him and turned around immediately. Then he quickly raised his gun and killed the driver of the car. Then the car was out of control and fell into the river. At this moment, Kai was about to die. The man carried a gun and aimed at Kai's yacht. At this moment, Mike, the ace bodyguard, appeared again. He killed the gunman and shot him in the direction of the sky. This wave of operations protected Kai. But Mike was caught by the gang members. He was about to be tortured. But the problem came. They studied for a long time before they opened Mike's helmet. They covered Mike's head with a wet towel. Then they added Mike's head with a flat wire. Let him say where Kai was. At this moment, Kai appeared from behind. He is a famous assassin in the martial arts world. It's easy to kill these blind soldiers and soldiers. He went out of Mike's way and killed the car. On the way, he apologized to Mike for his incident. Because of that shot, Mike lost his girlfriend and the useless identity of the third grade. In order to be safe, they needed to change another car. Open the door, unlock it, start the engine, and get rid of the car. Mike drove the car out of the underground warehouse. As a result, there was a car accident. Kai took out his gun and shot the airbag. In order to get to court as soon as possible, Kai asked him to drive the car. A strong sense of responsibility forced Mike. 20 minutes left until the last trial. Mike sat in the passenger seat and called Amelia again. This time he apologized on the phone, because he finally knew that he had misunderstood his ex-girlfriend for 2 years. At this time, a tail caught up with them. Kai changed his route and was ready to shake off his tail. At the moment of excitement, Kai also showed concern. But the car hit the stone pillar. It was all caused by love. The tail chased up. They had to act separately. Kai was still driving a car to avoid the chase behind. Mike was chased to the subway. The gunfight was fierce. Kai picked up Amelia and called Mike. Because the phone that was thrown out fell on the passenger seat. He told Amelia, Mike loves her very much, but she is not good at handling emotions. Mike sat on the subway to avoid the chase, but he was still found. Then they chased all the way. They didn't know if they were opponents of the ace bodyguards. Kai had a fierce car chase here. He chased after his luxury car one by one. Mike was chased to a grocery store. Here he is very good. Although he looks like he is very scared, but he keeps surprising his opponent. In the end, he used an iron chain to tie the neck of the opponent's boss. He turned the shelf next to him flexibly. He hung it on the other side of the shelf. Then he looked at the gun on the ground. He let the people in the store throw it over. The bad guys and the good guys may be able to separate at once. So, the boss who chased them all the way ended here. Jean Kai dumped everyone to pick him up. It was soon time for the trial. Suddenly, an old car came out of the court. The witness Jean Kai came. After the case, Kai had to hand over all his weapons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, finally arrived in court. In court, Jean Kide spoke of Lao Du's malice. He had hired Jean Kide, but because Lao Du refused to punish the civilians, he not only had witnesses, but also had evidence. On a private website, Jean Kide saved a lot of pictures of Lao
Du's malice.
All his accusations were released to the public. Lao Du was in trouble this time, but how could he give in like this? Then he executed the next plan with an eye. A truck loaded with bombs rushed into court. There was an explosion outside the court. Lao Yu grabbed a pistol. He first killed Jean Kide, who testified. At this time, Kide was sure to enjoy the third level. Blessing this time. Only later did he find Mike was shot. Lao Du and his men assassinated all the way to the roof. The helicopter that picked him up was already on its way. Amelia found the traitor in the police station. She was almost suffocated by the deputy police chief. At this time, Lao Du was about to be saved. But suddenly the gunman and the pilot on the plane were killed. The plane slowly descended and Lao Du fell into despair. Turned out to be Jean Kide. Handsome people usually don't look at the explosion behind him. Kide pushed Lao Du closer and closer. He shot Lao Du in the leg. To be honest, he and Lao Du have no real hatred. Lao Du thought he was going to be a hero in order to execute or release. But Lao Du was wrong. He didn't care if he was released or executed. Lao Du fell from the roof and was shot in the bottom of a car. The professor and all the people who were killed by Lao Du all saw him being punished. Mike's bodyguard mission was successfully completed. He found his love and restored the level of 3 bodyguards. He also acquired a so-called killer friend. There was only one assassin missing. A day later, the world released a red preview. The employee killer Darius Jean Kide was released. And at this moment, Jean Kide is keeping his promise. He spent his wedding anniversary with his wife. In that violent bar, he wore a Chinese-style shirt with a crane pattern. He hugged his beloved wife and lived a happy life from then on.